It's a beautiful day. Beautiful day here in sunny California. But not so sunny today, is it? It's gray, gloomy. There's an overcast, but I love it. I'd say it's about 70 degrees. It's mild weather, room temperature. Why am I blabbing? I should wait for people to join. 안녕하세요. I've been really into the 1960s and 1970s, like Japanese and Korean music, like the stuff that was considered funky back then. You know, I don't know, I've been really into it these days. Anyways, yeah, I decided to do a live stream, and it's one of those where I just want to be raw and genuine with you. Let's talk. You know what I'm saying? You can pretend like you're sitting here in this car with me, with a shake, and we're talking. Oof, the hair game is not on point today. I'm sorry, guys. I did not shower. I did brush my teeth, but I did not shower. So excuse the ratchetness, but let's talk. You know, I feel like, I just want to help somebody. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, I've been really into like the 1960s, 1970s funky music. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess it's because it's so different from what is on the radio these days. So, how am I doing? I'm doing pretty good. I feel like right now a lot of y'all are in school. Right now it's like school hours, but it's summer vacation for me. What kind of milkshake did I get? I got the organic breast milk. Just kidding. It's from In-N-Out. It's vanilla. I'm one of those basic plain biddies, but it's not so bad. I mean, it's good. Anyways, how are you guys doing? I'm doing really good. You mean well? I'm doing well. How y'all doing? Right? How y'all doing? It looks like it's a little mixed here. Some of y'all are doing good. Some of y'all are stressed. I'm melting away because of the heat. Listen, usually I'm not a fan of the Southern California weather, but today it's beautiful. It's gray, it's windy, I love it. Calculus, I remember calculus. Woo! It's a mosquito, get out. Sorry guys, there's like a mosquito in here. I don't like bugs, I don't like. I mean, I like spiders because they kill the other creepy crawlers, but I don't like mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are no good. They're the bad boy. But yeah, that's enough blabbering. I just wanted to talk to you guys, man. Yeah, I don't even know what's going on anymore. Like, yo boy right here is just so ADD. Like, I don't even know what we're on talking about. But what college did you go to? So, do you have any advice for enlisted in the Army trying to switch to the officer route? Yeah, I can answer both of those. So, I did my undergrad degree. I got a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and a concentration in clinical. Yeah, I did my undergrad at Virginia Military Institute, VMI. It's a military academy. It trains you to commission into one of the 5 branches. Well, 4 in Department of Defense and 1 Homeland Security, because Coast Guard is not military per se. They're more like, well, I guess sort of. They do defend our waters and our borders and whatnot. But essentially, most of my classmates, they train to become second lieutenants or ensigns in the Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Army. It was good. I plan on doing another video because I feel like when I made my university experience video, I didn't really go into depth, right? I feel like I could talk a lot more about it, so I feel like I'm going to make another video about that. For the officer route, I do have a few friends who went, actually, I would say in the officer corps, whom I was associated with and that I got to know, I would say like 2 out of 5 were prior enlisted. And there is such a program called Green to Gold, which is a program that you can utilize to go to school while you're enlisted and get your degree so you can commission. There's also OCS, but you have to have a bachelor's degree. Another option is, as enlisted, you could try to go to West Point. But my recommendation is, if you're enlisted, take advantage of the educational system, because there's a school called University of Maryland. It's one of those branches of University of Maryland. It's super military friendly and almost everything's online. And depending on what base you're at, they do have a satellite campus that you can take classes at in the evening. And it's not that hard to juggle, right? You get off duty at what, 3:30, 4:30. If you're in the infantry, maybe 5:30 p.m. And then you have all that time to yourself. You could do evening classes. It's doable. Anyways, I know for 99% of you guys, that's irrelevant. So, sorry, stuttering there. A proof that I have a speech impediment. Do you have any advice for living in Korea? Yeah, I would say my advice in Korea is to realize that you're there for a season, right? I feel like most expats, they go there and they'll eventually move out, right? So take advantage of all the nice food, culture, sightsee, do what you can, because even for me, man, when I think about my time in Korea, it feels like a dream. It feels like something that I just did. It was like an extended vacation, because like I live in California now, and it's like it's drastically different. I'm telling you right now, if you've experienced K-Town, it's nothing like Korea. Nothing. I don't care what you say, it's nothing like it. Yeah, you might have the same food or content, but when you're paying 20 bucks for a bottle of soju or 30 bucks for Korean barbecue, don't tell me it's the same as Korea. And especially the service and having to tip and just the culture itself, it's completely different, because the people that go there are probably going to be 2nd or 3rd generation Korean Americans, versus in Korea, most of them are Korean, and you'll see everyone. And basically what I'm trying to say is life in Korea is a lot more fun in a different way. So I guess what I'm trying to say is one of my regrets is I feel like because I was a YouTuber, I spent a lot of time indoors and by myself, and I didn't take advantage of all the cool things. Because I want to make a video talking about where I lived, because I actually lived in the #1 hip, cool place to hang out in Seoul. I never see YouTubers talking about it, and I lived there for a year. And so I can give you guys like the hidden tips and all that. It's the place that foreigners don't know about, where locals go to hang out, like hip-hop artists, K-pop trainees. Like, this is where we go to hang out, and there's a lot of cafes, lots to do, and the nightlife is insane. But because I'm introverted and I'm a YouTuber, I feel like I hung out a lot by myself indoors, and I didn't really take advantage of checking out the place. So yeah, so if you move there, take advantage of what you see and do there. Just don't go crazy. Just don't be that belligerent, drunk foreigner that everyone hates. You know, you're yelling and you're... Yes, you can drink in public in Korea. You could just walk in the streets and drink, but please don't do that. Koreans don't do that. Only foreigners do that. The only times I've seen people drink with beer in their hands walking the streets were literally soldiers, teachers, or any foreigners, and they just look ridiculous because they're shouting, yelling, and that's not that culture. You know what I'm saying? But anyways. Jonathan Ogden, bruh. I love your music, man. I just feel like one day we gotta link up, because I can give you some runs. You know what I'm saying? I could be a backup vocalist like, whoa, Jonathan. Yeah. Just kidding. I'm messing around right there, but man, I really wanna sing with you one day, brother. Are you hurting and broken within, overwhelmed by the weight of... Anyways, what's shaking and baking? I guess my booty hole, because when I was younger, like, I don't even know if this biologically makes sense or not, but when I hit about 15 or 16, I understand that the Asian ethnicity, Koreans especially, they turn lactose intolerant when they hit like their teenage years, and it happened to me as well. And I hated it, right? Because I love ice cream and I love milk. But then when I was in the military, I was just like, you know what? I don't really care if I break out in pimples or go doo-doo diarrhea. So I forced myself to drink milk every day, ice cream, yogurt. And it took about a year and a half, but I trained my system to become not lactose intolerant. So from about age 19 to 20 and a half, I forced myself to drink and eat dairy products. So I'm not lactose intolerant anymore. So now I can drink and eat anything dairy, cheese, yogurt, and I'm okay. But I wouldn't recommend that, because for the first 3 months, it was terrible. I used to get cystic, like acne, diarrhea. It was not a fun game, right? But when you go to school with all boys, and you don't really care about how you look, you do it. But I don't recommend you do it. It's not really safe. Oh, there's people in the background. Yeah. Wise. Any collabs planned? Yeah, man, I feel like I had a lot of collabs planned, but a lot of them fell through because, I mean, I don't blame them. It is the name of the game. You don't want someone on your channel that's semi-controversial, and I know I'm pretty open about my faith, and my videos are really, you know, Christian related, I would say 90%. And so a lot of my friends and associates, they kind of like canceled and dropped the plans for our collab videos, and you know, I'm not offended, because I understand it's the name of the game. Because if you have someone like me come on your channel, it's going to offend some of the viewers, and they'll be like, isn't that the guy who always talks about God and all that stuff? I don't like him. And, you know, they'll lose a viewer, they'll lose a fan, so I get it. So I'm not offended. So I don't have any collabs planned, but I do have some speaking engagements in the works right now. But other than that, I've been pretty low-key, right? And that's the way I like it. That's the way I like it. Whoa. What's it like being a Christian in Korea? Well, believe it or not, like, you're gonna see a church on every street corner in Korea. It's just like Alabama or Georgia. If you go to the South, the Bible Belt, it's the same thing in Korea. But the fact of the matter is, just because you have a cross on top of your building and you say that you're Christian doesn't mean that you're a Christian. And what I mean by that is, South Korea is actually back on the missionary list. They've steered away so far from what Christianity is and incorporated Confucian values and the corporate lifestyle into the church. They have something called like Chongdaksanim. They have like a hierarchy system, and like the head pastor is like worshipped and stuff. Like the Korean church system, there's a lot I don't agree with, right? There's a lot I don't agree with, and they're back on the missionary list for a reason. I'll just leave it at that. But if you're 45 and over, I would say about 90% of the population is Christian. But if you're my age demographic, 30 and below, I would say less than 5% are Christian. And yeah, so being a Christian in Korea is it's kind of tough. I'll say that right now, it's tough, because the culture revolves around drinking games and, believe it or not, one-night stands and a lot of things like that, right? And I just feel like the people of my generation, the millennials, I don't really know anything about Generation Z. They're too young. I didn't hang out with them. But the millennials, they were too wrapped around the idea of like a YOLO lifestyle, right? Like, I don't need a church. I don't need someone telling me what to do. So yeah, it's tough. So I feel like if you're someone that's easily influenced or peer pressure to do stuff, Korea might not be a good idea, because there's going to be a lot of temptations. A lot of people that will just come up to you on the street and be like, you want to go to my hotel? It happens. I've seen it with my own eyes. There's a lot of drinking opportunities. I would say 80% of the nightlife revolves around drinking, like round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4. This is stuff that other YouTubers will never tell you about, right? Like, I don't really care. I don't live in Korea anymore. I love Korea, but I don't mind sharing you the truth about it either, right? But yeah, so if you're a missionary, like, I have friends that are in Korea right now as missionaries, because that's how bad things got. If you're a missionary, I would highly encourage you to check out Korea. So, yeah. What branch of Catholicism do you believe in? I'm Roman Catholic. So I'm actually just a Christian. And the way I say that is, I'm not trying to say it in a trendy or edgy way, but honestly, deep down in my core values and in my heart, I'm a follower of Christ, right? I don't have to pledge allegiance to a denomination or say like, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Presbyterian. I don't believe in that. Your first and foremost priority in your heart should be Jesus Christ. And that means you're a Christian. So rather, you should say, I'm a Christian. Why do you place a denomination or a branch or an allegiance to a religion rather than Jesus, right? And so my philosophy is, what's more important to you? Your priest and doing Ash Wednesdays and doing sacraments and leading, like pledging yourself, saying, I'm a Methodist, I'm a Baptist, or saying that I'm a lover of Christ and I have a relationship with him and I'm a follower of Jesus and I want to be like him, so I'm a Christian. So you see my philosophy, and I didn't say that to belittle you or to offend you, but I just feel like these days people prioritize the wrong things. They would rather place their religion above Jesus, and that's when you start losing sight of it all and you become a Pharisee, right? Because the Pharisees were too wrapped around the ideas of the rules, the law, and like their denomination and their culture, the heritage, rather than Jesus. And so, yeah, well, with that said, I have all love in my heart for Catholics, Presbyterians, Methodists, Southern Baptists, you name it. I'm friends with you. I don't believe in dividing up Christians, because I see people like, I'm Catholic, I will never hang out with Presbyterian. I see that all the time, and it's just like, cut it out, bro. You're acting like a Pharisee. That's why when you see me, man, I take classes right now at seminary with people that are Methodist, Presbyterian, evangelical, Catholic, you name it, right? That's what the name of the game is. When you go to heaven, it's not gonna be like, oh, you know what? Only Seventh-day Adventists are gonna be here. You guys, you didn't make it. It's not like that, right? If you have a relationship with Christ and you want to truly be more like him, your identity should be Christian. Stop saying, oh, I'm a Presbyterian. I'm Catholic. Stop that. Cut it out. Cut it out. And what is at the core of your heart? Are you a Christian or are you a Seventh-day Adventist? What is at the core of your heart? Do you have a relationship with religion of SDA Church, or do you have a relationship with Christ? See the huge difference? Because if you truly have a relationship with Christ, your values, your morals, and your outlook in life start to shape towards being more like Christ. But if you say, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, I'm a Mormon, I'm whatever, then you start shaping your values to be more like that, and you're not technically a Christian because you value what your church has been preaching to you all the time, saying, I'm a SDA, so I gotta do it like this, but rather they don't even know Jesus at the end of the day. And it's just like, bruh, that's sad, man. Anyways, I just got into a huge rant. So Pentecostal, yeah, man, I love Pentecostals. They're very charismatic, but I never really had an experience with them before. The only thing I know about them is the Hillsong Church. I know a lot of my friends who are pastors, they refuse to play any Hillsong songs because they don't like the Pentecostal movement. But one of my really good friends in seminary, he's a Pentecostal pastor. I really love the dude. And just speaking to him, man, like, it changed my views about the Pentecostal movement. And I love you guys, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm starting to realize. Instead of separating and dividing Christians up, we should be uniting, man. But whatever, man. I don't want to get too deep into it, because this starts going into theology and why the Protestant movement was formed from the Reformation, Martin Luther, and the 95 Theses. I can get all into it, but it's too confusing, right? So let's move on. You know so much. Well, it's not that I know so much, it's just that I love learning. Do you smoke? I don't smoke. And I know there's a lot of you people that are all like drug friendly, or you promote weed and you love that stuff. Personally, I don't like drugs. And I understand that you're going to rebuttal with the therapeutic natural remedies of cannabis and all that. I get it, but because I got certified this year with mental health illness training, so it refreshed my memory of what I got my bachelor's degree in, and marijuana is not as safe as you think, and it is highly addictive and actually aggravates. And if you're prone to having schizophrenia, it actually speeds up the process and aggravates it and allows you to get schizophrenia faster, like paranoia, hearing voices, delusional. Marijuana leads to lethargic behavior, being lazy, there's a lot of negatives I can get into, but no, I don't like smoking. I don't support drugs, cocaine, all that. I don't like any of that stuff. And it's not that I'm judging you, but it's because what you're doing to your body is not healthy. The same way I would not take a dagger and stab my leg saying, it's good for me, to get rid of the bad blood. That's what they did to George Washington. They put leeches on him to get rid of the bad blood, and they killed him, right? Same way, when you put stuff into your body that's not good for you, like cocaine, and all this other hard drugs that kids do and whatnot, it's not good for your body, bruh. Same with people that, advocate opium and all that. It's not good for you. I don't support drugs because I don't like the negative effects that it does to the body. Yeah. So would you never get a tattoo then? The funny story is, when I was 18 and I was in high school, I was about to graduate, right? And on my right pec, because back then I used to be freaking huge. And I mean that in a literal sense. I was pretty muscular. And I had tits, like legit I had tits, because I was bench pressing like, that was probably the strongest I've ever been in when I was graduating high school. Because like my testosterone was like through the roof. And that's when I decided I was going to join the military. And I was going to get honor duty, like right here on my upper right pec, honor duty country, which is from a famous speech from John F. Kennedy in the early 1960s, right? And I was going to get a tattoo of honor duty country on my chest. And I was strapped down in the chair. And I was there with my best friend. And he was loading up the pen. It makes like the zzz, zzz sound. He was loading it up. And I'm not going to lie, man, I chickened out. Last minute, I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And it's not that I'm scared of the pain. I have a really high pain tolerance, right? I did wrestling, boxing, football, lacrosse my whole life. Pain doesn't bother me. I think that's a blessing, right? Because I feel like some people, like, they're affected with, like, back pain. If they stub their toe, they're like, ah! For me, if I stub my toe, it's like, whatever. If I get punched in the face, it's whatever. If I get knocked out, I might have a concussion, but I'd be like, I'll still be all right. But I think the part of me that really made me not want to get that tattoo in the end is because I thought about it. Like, I'm 18, right? When you're 18, you really don't know what you want. Like, you go with the movement, you go with the flow, and you go with your emotions. You don't really think intellectually. But I feel like for that burst moment, I thought about it. I was like, do I really want honor duty country on my titty when I'm 80 years old and I'm wrinkly? And I thought about it, I was like, I don't know if I want that, right? Like, I mean, I'm not against tattoos or anything, because like my best friends, they have tattoos, right? My bestest friend has tattoos on his lips. Okay, I'm not against tattoos or anything. It's just personally for my own body, I like having a clean slate, right? Like, I don't even like having acne, bro. Like, when I have a pimple, my whole day is ruined. Like, when I was 18 or 19, like, whenever, like, I was in the military, and I was surrounded by men, and I still was, when I had a pimple, I'd be like, no! Like, even if it's not a whitehead, I would pop that little sucker and get a scar. But if you look at my skin, it's baby soft. I don't know what happened, but all that acne stuff just disappeared. Yeah, I don't know. I just like having a clean slate. And that's why I don't have facial hair. I just don't like, I don't know. I'm a weird dude, man. You get to know me. I'm funny, but I'm weird, man. Like, I had earrings. And you might be like, well, you just put holes in your body. But it's just like, don't I also have nostrils and a butthole and 2 nipple holes? I got holes, man. Do you use any skincare? I mean, I try to. Like, when I was in Korea, I was a trainee and I was doing all that jazz. I mean, my skincare routine was pretty strict, right? 3 times a day, I would be doing toner, emulsion, vitamin C serums, lotion. I would be putting on sunscreen every 30 to 45 minutes. I was pretty regimented about that stuff. But now that I'm back in America, dude, I just feel like I became so American again. And I don't care. Call me ignorant all you want. But I would say out of all my guy friends, none of them do skincare. And I just feel like I'm turning American again. Obviously, you have that 1 or 2 metro friends who are from like New York City or Boston that does skincare. But for the large part, my friends are from like Kentucky, Texas, Colorado, Virginia. They don't do skincare. They don't even put on aftershave after they shave their face. They don't even do sunscreen. And I'm not gonna lie, man, they're 23, 27, 31. They got lots of wrinkles, right? And I realize if I don't do skincare, I will get wrinkles, but I'm kind of like, I'm coasting right now. I'm chilling, you know? I don't do I try to do skincare when I remember it. I do lotion like once every 3 days, but I still got, bruh, I go into a school book supply store. They literally think I'm there to pick up my junior or high school senior book list. So if you look, I have no wrinkles at all. I don't know how I'm so lucky, but yeah. Skincare is subjective, but I just feel like 99% of American males that are straight, we don't do skincare. With that said, I'm not trying to advocate you don't do it, because I highly encourage you to do skincare because it'll help prevent premature aging, liver spots, and just a lot of bad stuff, you know? Anyways. I have acne, it sucks. Yeah, man, like, I can encourage you because, like, look at my skin right now. I don't do laser treatment. I didn't get fillers right here. I didn't do any of that stuff. Just give it time, dude. I feel like when you're young, I had acne too, man, when I was like 18, 19. It's inevitable, right? When you're young, you get acne, but when you grow up, a lot of it fades away, especially like if you start taking care of yourself. So just give it some time, man. I feel like acne is something that we all go through. And obviously there's like that 1% of population that they don't produce that oil sebum that turns into pimples, so they never get pimples. They're lucky, but for the majority of us, we do get pimples, and it's not a fun game, but it's doable. Are you at an airport? I'm actually just chilling right now. Kind of near a beach. I'm turning 24. People think I'm in my late teens. Yeah, man, that's a good thing. Don't ever sigh about that. You know, the funny thing is, I really don't like the beach. I mean, I do like the beach. Like, if we go at 7 p.m. and we're just sipping on a beer with a bonfire, I love that. But to actually go to the beach and purposefully tan, not a fan. I feel like when I was younger, I really liked the beach because, like, you know, when you're a kid, you run up to the wave and you run back, and you can't catch me, you can't. You do that kind of stuff when you're young and it's cute. But when you're 26, it's not that cute, right? And I'm not into tanning. It's not that I don't want to get darker. It's just I don't like the idea of letting the UVA, UVB, and the harmful sun rays damage my skin, right? That's why I don't like it. You can come at me and be like, you racist, you don't want to get dark? No, it's because I don't want to get wrinkled and get skin cancer, okay? And so I live in Southern California. I'm surrounded by Huntington Beach, Seal Beach, Long Beach, you name it. It's all near me. I've never been to a beach yet. With that said, I'm more of a lake guy, right? Like sitting on the dock with my feet in the water, drinking a beer, fishing, going on the ski jets. I'm more of like a lake type of boy. Beach, I'm not. I mean, look at me. Do I look like the kind of guy that'd be like, surf's up, dude? No, I'm not, right? But anyways, the sun came out. So let me put my, I don't even know what you call it. It's like aluminum foil, but I got it in Korea. It's really cute. It's like a little puppy. I'll show you. That's his nose and his mouth and his eyeball. But let me put it up so that the freaking sun doesn't, because it's getting hot all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Oh wow, it got really dark. Can you guys see me or? Okay, now you can see me. I can always see you. Yeah. I feel like, have you been to Disneyland, Nat? Nah, man. I feel like if you get anything from this live stream, I feel like every single one of my zaddy issues, I'll help you out. Give me a second. Just ask again one more time, okay? I feel like every single one of my live streams and stuff, I always have a purpose and there's like a learning lesson. I guess for this one is, I wanted to encourage you guys to understand about the harmful effects of the sun. So please take care of your skin, because skin cancer is an epidemic right now because people are purposefully tanning and it's ridiculous. And number two is to take advantage of your situation. Because I talked about when I was living in Korea, right? And I feel like I didn't take advantage of that, because there's, how many of you guys right now would do anything to live in Asia and take advantage of the nightlife, the street life, and the food, right? I'm 26, and you see, when I lived there, I could have done a lot more, because you look at my face, I have a Korean freaking face. Like, there's so much more I could have done there, right? And passed it off as a local and whatnot, but I feel like I didn't, right? And I feel like there's so many of you guys right now that are doing that, right? You're like, oh, I'm still in middle school, I'm still in college, or I don't like where I live, and so you make an excuse to be depressed, to be sad, to be like, I can't be happy because I'm a high school student or because I live here. It's just like, bro, look all around you. I lived in Seoul, South Korea, in the best district where all of the trainees, hip-hop artists, and all that, where all the fun stuff happens. And I still didn't enjoy my time because I feel like towards the end of my time in Korea, I despised being there. I couldn't wait to get back to America. And so as a result, I didn't really take advantage of my situation, right? And so take it from me, a guy that lived in the, like, literally one of the best places to live in the entire world. Are we back? Okay, so take it from me, a guy that lived in one of the best places in the entire world, subjectively, of course, and I didn't take advantage of it. There's so much more I could have done. Like, say there's like, I think there was like there was at least 10 or 15 restaurants opening every week. And just by that alone, you probably know where it is. And there's over like 1,000 different restaurants, bars, and everything. And I only checked out like 10. I went to the same ones over and over again. I didn't really take advantage of my time there. So if you get anything from this live stream, the first one would be cautious of how harmful the sun actually is. Some of y'all might think it's actually good for you. And obviously it helps produce vitamin D through the melatonin process, yes, but you don't actually need it as much as you think you do, right? But number one is to realize how harmful it is. So please protect yourself from the harmful effects of the sun. And number two is to be happy with your situation. Happiness is a choice, right? You can give all these excuses in the world to be like, I can't be happy till I get a boyfriend. I can't be happy till I get this K-pop album. I can't be happy till I graduate high school. Stop. You can be happy right now by choosing to change your mentality and perspective to understand that what you have is an advantage and it's a blessing. Because I guarantee you, there's a little kid right now somewhere in like the jungles of South America, running around butt naked, mosquitoes biting him, never experienced air conditioning before, wishing he had the life that you did, and here you are complaining about, my Wi-Fi so slow, I'm sad because I can't get boyfriend. Bro, chill out, man. It's all about perspective. Be happy in the now. Love what you got. Okay? Yeah. Do you have to look like a local to have a good time in Korea? No. The reason why I said that I look like a local and it's to my advantage is because as a local, you can kind of just blend in. You know what I'm saying? Korea was the first time I actually never felt like an outsider. Like I didn't feel discriminated against because I just blend in. But in America, when people look at me, they never consider me American first. Right? They don't. They consider me Asian. They look at me like, oh, he's an Asian. Whereas they know nothing about me. I served in the army. I'm patriotic. I love America. I consider myself American first. Well, when Americans see me, they see me as an Asian first. And as a result, I'm categorized into the 3% of the minority group constituting Asians in America. I'm a minority here. I stick out like a sore thumb. But in Korea, I can just blend in. You know what I'm saying? But if you are a foreigner in Korea and you look different, I'm not trying to say you're going to get discriminated against. It's just that you're going to experience how I feel when I'm in America. So if you're a white dude, you'll know how I feel when you go to Korea, how I feel every day in America. You'll just stick out. It's just, you're not going to be discriminated against. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah. Do you still talk to Edward? I feel like the last time we talked to each other was when I left Korea, and it was like Happy New Year's and all that stuff. But to be honest with you, communication goes both ways, and I haven't been doing such a good job keeping in touch with YouTubers because, I don't know, my excuse might suck, but I've been pretty busy with school. And dude, when I first moved to America, or moved back here from Korea, I had a really hard time adjusting. Like, I was mildly, I'm not gonna say depressed because that's not the correct terminology, and I hate when people use it out of context. I was mildly legit sad, right? I had a hard time adjusting back to life here, and I had a lot going on, right? I had a lot going on, and my plate was heavy. And so, yeah, I haven't been doing such a good job keeping in touch with my YouTuber friends. But, yeah, I mean, we're on good terms with, I mean, there's a few that unfollowed me because of my faith. And I get it, right? It's just some people are all about not offending anyone and, like, being ashamed of being a Christian and all that. And I think that's sad, but it's whatever, man. It's whatever. Yeah. How do you handle long distance flights going to different countries? I think one of the best things that you can do is don't ever listen to that advice of going onto a plane sleep deprived, because they're like, oh, you could just fall asleep. But most of the times, man, you can't fall asleep because you're going to have like that rude tourist who sits next to you that's coughing on your face the entire time. Or the flight attendant bumps your elbow with the food tray. You know what I'm saying? Like, sleep is not guaranteed. So I think one of the best things that you can do for yourself before you go on a long flight is to get proper sleep, rest, and nutrition, right? You don't want to be all sick, sleep deprived and everything, because it's just going to stress you out during the whole flight. Because you're getting a recirculation of dehydrated, dry air. That's not good for you, boo-boo. So one of the best things that you can do is get a good night's rest, be rested, be nurtured, be well. And number two is to have an adequate list of movies that you can watch on the free movie screen. And number three is long flights is the time that I use to organize and go through my phone. Because, you know, a lot of the times we take photos, we make notes, and we do a lot of stuff. We don't clean up our phones. Sorry, loud playing. And as a result, it accumulates and your phone gets really dirty, right? So I use my 14-hour flights from America to Korea or to Japan or to China, wherever I went. And I would use that flight time to clean up my phone, like deleting photos, deleting notes, and just creating more space and memory. So just having a task on hand is a good thing. A 4.0 is unweighted. So I got, wait, what do you got? Why are you guys talking about 4.0? Do you think you would live in Japan? Honestly, I don't want to say this as a Korean. I'm saying this as an American. I would rather live in Japan than Korea. Because Japan, someone asked me what a GPA was. Oh, okay. Japan, and it's not that I'm into the Japanese culture, but I really like Japanese food. I did. Japan was a little bit cleaner. And I don't know, I just feel like there's so much more for me to do in Japan, right? Korea's okay too. I would say Japan and Korea, yeah. And Taiwan is like a miniature version of Korea. Not to offend you, but it literally is a tiny little island, so yeah. The things I didn't like about Japan is the prices. Everything's super expensive in Japan. That's one thing I didn't like, but yeah, Japan, you can perfectly exist without having a car. I think that's one of the cool things. Speaking from an American Korean perspective, Japan is, yeah, I know a lot of Koreans, they might BS you and be like, I don't have any hard feelings towards Japan, but a lot of Koreans hate Japanese. That's something I can tell you straight up. And you can be like, that's just your opinion. No, I lived in Korea, and almost every single one of my Korean friends did not like Japan. And it's because of the history and all that jazz, invasion, killing, torture, and all that. But then I'm American as well. So if you think about it, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7th, we went there and we bombed the heck out of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and just literally obliterated everything. So I don't know, it's kind of like a circle of life, right? Like Japan raped, tortured, pillaged Koreans. And then Americans bombed the heck out of Japan. And I don't know, it's like a little circle of life. But then I don't really have hard feelings towards Japanese because as a Christian, I feel like if you hold grudges and you hate people for the past, you can never truly love them, right? And I think a perfect example of this is the Jewish tribes and how they felt towards the Ninevites during the Old Testament. Even in the New Testament, or yeah, in the Old Testament, especially if you look at the book of Jonah, right? The Jews hated the Ninevites because the Ninevites would pillage Jewish tribes, rape their women, capture their women, turn them into sex slaves, and when they were 8 to 9 months pregnant, they would slice their bellies, take the babies out and stomp them, murder the women, cut their heads off, skin their face, and wear their faces as masks for when they invaded the next village. So when you think about the Ninevites, that's the kind of stuff that they did to the Jews, and as a result, the Jews resented and were fearful and hated the Ninevites. And so when God called upon Jonah to preach to them, to turn to God, so that they may find love and grace, he didn't want to do it. He hated them. He's like, God, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But anyways, I'll have to make a video about that. And so I think about it like that. Like and that's the thing about Korean Christians, man. You go to Korea, like there's a lot of mega churches, right? And they say like, I do my Bible study, I go to church every day and all that jazz. The moment you ask them about Japan, they're like, I hate the Japanese, they evil, they kill us, yeah, they killed us, they did terrible things, but so did everyone else, man. And that's just more the reason to forgive them, because love is the only thing that can conquer over anything like this. The diplomatic issues, the political issues, love is the answer. Racism, love is the answer. Think about Germany, dude. Germany was one of the most hated countries in the early 20th century. From 1920, they were literally the scapegoat after World War I. We blamed everything on them. They had to pay back penalty fees for all the countries to rebuild. Everyone hated the Germans, and so what Hitler did was he rallied up nationalism and found a scapegoat within their country of Germany of Jews and blamed everything on the Jews, and they killed thousands of Jews, right? The genocide and the Holocaust. But now, if you look at Germany, it's one of the most respected, lovable countries. Everyone loves Germans, right? And I just feel like we just need to look past these things, man. If you stay fixated and you hate a country for the past, how can you ever walk towards the future, right? You can't walk towards the future if you keep thinking about the past injustice. Obviously, what they did is wrong, right? I'm not gonna sit here and be like raping, killing, pillaging people is not a bad thing. It's terrible. But if we stay fixated on it and you can't turn to the next chapter of your life and you're like, you did this to us 100 years ago, it's just like, bro, come on, how are we ever gonna advance? Even in our own country, America, there's still some people that are salty about some of the civil stuff that happened back in the day. I'm Asian, man. They used to have, they had a discrimination law in the 20th century where barred Asians from entering America from Angel Island in San Francisco Bay Area. They're like, okay, no more Asians, we don't like you. And if you think about World War II, they literally threw the Japanese into prison camps known as the Japanese internment camps. They discriminated Asians. I'm not here complaining about it, right? There's just some people that are still fixated on the past, and it's just like, you guys are bad, I hate you. Bruh, love is the answer, right? Love is the only thing that can cure true racism. Love is the only thing that can fix diplomatic issues. Okay? Anyways, I don't even know how I went on that rant. It's 2 a.m. and this is the best I could ever watch before sleep. You trying to say I'm boring? Okay, sorry guys, this is going a little fast. I'm trying to keep up. How are you staying strong? If you know anything about me, you know that I hate giving simple surface level answers, right? I feel like one of the biggest ways I stay strong is my faith, because my faith propels everything in my life. My identity, my purpose, my motives, the reason why I'm on earth, right? If you don't have your identity figured out, you're gonna be wandering and you're gonna be lost. Obviously, if you're 12 to 18, you're probably wandering and you're lost. And that's okay. Psychologically, you're gonna be going through a lot of changes in your life, bodily changes as well, and you're gonna try to figure out, who am I? What am I? But I'll tell you this right now, when you figure out your identity, man, it puts a lot of things into perspective, and a lot of stresses are put to the side. Because if you don't know your identity, you'll have your parents pressuring you to go to dental school, whereas you have no desire to go to dental school because you don't really have your identity and you want to please your parents, and so you want to do everything they tell you to do. So you'll go to dental school to please them, and you'll hate your life every second there because you don't have your identity figured out. But if you know your true identity, you'll know what you want to do, who you are, your purpose, and all of that, right? So I feel like my faith is number one. Number two is the loved ones that are around me. I have a really good support system. And I just feel like without that good support system, I would just be another YouTuber that makes viral videos. But I walked away from that life, right? I used to make viral videos, and then I was just like, not my cup of tea. So I think number one is my faith, and not being confused about it, not thinking, well, how could God be real if this happens? How is God real? No, I don't play those games. I have a firm, fixated faith in God. And if there is ever an issue with Christianity, I try to pray about it and go into it with God rather than trying to prove God wrong. So God is an important figure in my life. And number two is the loved ones that are around me. And number three is you guys. And I don't mean that in like a subscribe, click like if you like this video. No, I mean that in a genuine way, because there's some of you guys that have literally been with me since I've been 12 years old. Some of you know this. I started YouTube when I was 12 and a half years old, right? 2005. I was literally in middle school. I was a young kid. Because I've met you. You've come to my meet and greets and you've told me, I've been watching you since you were in middle school. Some of you guys have been there for me through the thick and thin. When I went through my lowest moment in life where I just went, do you remember when I went MIA on YouTube and social media for a whole year and a half? Like no posting, nothing. I was super depressed. Y'all stuck through it with me and you were there for me. So I feel like there's a lot of you guys that bend over backwards to always click like and show me support. And it means a lot. Like I don't really care about the numbers, but when there's a lot of people these days that hate me, that make reaction videos making fun of me, giving me death threats, it's a nice breath of fresh air when I get positive comments from you guys. Because like real talk, how many other YouTubers do you know that are like me? I'm in the YouTube community and circle, and I just feel like a lot of us are in it for the numbers. Regardless of what they say to you, a lot of them are in it for the numbers. And so when I was counseling new YouTubers, so the YouTubers I'm talking about right now, they birthed their channels about a year ago, and I was counseling them and helping them how to grow their channel. And I would talk to them, I'd be like, why do you want to do YouTube? They're like, I just want to be famous. I just want to have a lot of viewers. And I'd always be like, man, I don't really like that. The reason why I do YouTube is because I really want to make an impact in the world, change people's hearts and minds, teach them about Jesus Christ, and give advice out. Because sometimes when you watch me, around you, there might not be anyone around you to give you good advice. You might just have a toxic dad, an abusive mother, and you might be a loner in school. Who are you going to turn to? I want to be that guy that can be in your life and be like, yo, if you're having trouble with this, blah, 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 do this. You know what I'm saying? That's my purpose for YouTube, dude. I don't really care about subscription numbers, followers. And so when I do have people that appreciate this and they give me positive feedback, I love it, bruh. So those are my 3 things, okay? Those are my 3 things. You've helped me get through a difficult time in my life. That's what I love, bruh. That's what I love to do, man. I'm not gonna sit here and just do a makeup tutorial and just like not give you a positive love or positive change or a positive word that you can take and apply it to your life. I'm not just gonna sit here and show you how to stuff my bra so that my A cups can look like B cups and not, you know what I mean? Like, anyways, what's my favorite music genres? Right now, I really like syntho pop. I like 70s and 60s music, Japan and Korean. Bruh, if you've never heard Korean or Japanese 1960s, 1970s music, it is good. It's weird, but it's good. I've really been listening to indie music a lot these days. Like people that literally play at a coffee shop. They got like 3 followers on Instagram. I love that. Another one is I've been really getting into classical music. But for the beginning of this year, from like January to like about April, I've been obsessed with the, you know, gospel music, contemporary Christian music. So like House Fires, United Pursuit, Jonathan Ogden, Elevation Worship. I was really like into it, but now I'm trying to balance it healthfully so that, because one thing that I found is if I constantly listen to worship music, when I go on a Sunday and I hear it, it's just kind of like, it doesn't really have the same effect. So now I'm trying to balance my musical taste so that I'm not oversaturating myself with just worship music. Yeah, if you've never heard of syntho pop, it's really good. It's like 1980s. And these people, they take samples of 1980s songs and they add their own spin to it, and it's really cool. If you've never heard 1960s, 1970s Japanese music or Korean music, it sounds like the Carpenters, but in Korean or in Japanese. It sounds really good. If you need a recommendation, go to my YouTube channel and click playlist and click the link that says songs stuck in Woo Jung's head. I recently just added some Japanese 1960s music. It's so good, bruh. Yeah. Reckless Love. Like, here's the thing, dude. When Reckless Love by Corey Ashford first came out, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. But then every time I turn on K-Love, or every time I go to church, or every time I click on YouTube auto playlist, it's always Reckless Love. And so after about like 4 weeks of listening to it nonstop, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm kind of over it. Like when it comes on the radio, I switch over to another song. And I realized that pattern, and I'm like, dude, that's not good. Because for the first 4 months of this year, I could listen to "Oh Come to the Altar" by Elevation Worship over 100 times in a day and not get sick of it. But I've come to a point in my life where I'm just like, yeah, next. And so that's why I'm trying to balance it out. And that's why I really think, I feel like, I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, but I feel like even the Bible says it in the book of Proverbs, that you should do things in moderation. When you do something in excess, it's not going to be good for you, right? So if you're somebody that likes to work out too much, you're going to suffer in other areas of your life, like your family, your relationships. You're going to develop body dysmorphia. You're not going to be able to enjoy life, right? Because you're always busy, meal prepping, working out. And so I feel like doing things in moderation is a good thing. Yeah. I really do like "Fear is a Liar." I really like that one. I do. I saw this and I like your attitude. Thank you. Oh my gosh, my pimple. Yeah, I got a pimple because I got a electric razor last week, and I was doing a straight safety razor shaving for like the past 2 years when I was in Korea. But I recently transitioned over to an electric razor, and bruh, it broke my face out in pimples everywhere because it irritated my skin. So yeah, I've got a pimple. So yeah. I have a quick question. What should I do if I feel negatively affected by people that change for the worse when you care or love for them? I think one of the best pieces of advice that I ever received was from one of my pastors, who's my mentor, and from one of you guys, is that, well, let me give you the lower, because there's like a freaking one that punches in the face, and there's one that's kind of like pretty simple. You can lead a horse to water, but you still can't force them to drink it, right? You can lead a stubborn horse to a well, and they'll still just stand there, right? And so I feel like a lot of times, if you have a savior complex like I do, you take it upon yourself if you fail, right? Like if it doesn't help them out, if they do something like you told them, don't date that boy, he's gonna cheat on you. They go and date them instead, and he cheats on them. They're crying, they're like, ah! Right, and you're probably frustrated. And I know how you feel, man. That's everyone uses me as like their crying shoulder in my life. It's kind of like I'm used to it now, right? But yeah, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink it, okay? And the one that punches you in the face is the one that my pastor told me is the only person that can truly save someone and is the savior is Jesus. You can never be anyone's savior. You can't, right? Because that's a job that's so big that only Jesus can do it, right? And that helps me a lot because I feel like early on, I always felt frustrated and disappointed in myself when I would try to help someone and it didn't work. But when I take that advice into heart, I realize I can do the best that I can by loving my neighbor and doing what I can to serve them and showing them God's love through my actions. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't work or if it fails, I can't take that failure upon myself because only Jesus can truly save them. So if they have a relationship with Jesus, Jesus can do miracles, right? But most of the time, the people that I help and I fail is usually with atheists, people that don't know Jesus. And so it's frustrating for me because I feel like I'm the only one that could reach out to them. But most of the time, man, even if you fail in the short tense, you got to realize in the long run, you might have planted a seed into their heart and it might blossom and bloom and allow the gospel to reach them. Okay? So don't ever feel like your efforts were in vain because you never know, dude. Sometimes you plant the seed into their heart Like, I have comments on YouTube where they talk mad smack about me, right? A year ago. And you look at their comments in my videos now, like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, they're like, Woojong, I'm gonna be honest with you, I used to hate you, I was an atheist, I used to make fun of you, but you introduced me to Jesus, now I'm a Christian. So what I'm trying to say is, they might hate you now, but later on, God works mysteriously in everyone's lives, right? So what I mean by that is, you could do what you can in the moment and plant that seed into their heart by being that crying shoulder, and it might not work out. But I'm telling you, 2 months down the road, 2 weeks down the road, 2 hours down the road, they'll have and experience God's love through another action, through another experience, through another situation. I'm telling you, bro. So never give up and never feel that burden on your shoulder. And that's why Jesus went onto that cross. He doesn't want us to hold that anxiety and worry and depression and hold that burden. That's not what that cross is about. That cross that he died upon was about redemption and freedom. He did that so we can live a life of freedom, right? He didn't want us to carry around our anxieties and be like, oh, so anxiety, I'm so worried. That's not why he died, bruh. He died so that we may have love and freedom through Christ. Okay, boo? Do you have any advice for auditioning for a worship team? You know what, man? What's most important about serving in a church, which I highly suggest, it's not about talents. God never calls upon the talented or the experienced or the capable. God calls upon those that have a heart, right? I've been at some churches where the worship leader is tone deaf, but they've got passion. They're sweating. Their shirt has like the yellow pit stains on their armpits, and they're singing their balls off, all right? They're singing. As long as you have the heart, that's what's important, man. It doesn't matter if you have a speech impediment like I do. It doesn't matter. If you've got the passion, you've got the heart, that's what's important. God cares about what's on your heart, not about your talents. Think about the people that God called upon in the Bible, okay? If you just look at the history and the evidence and the record, don't ever think you're too inadequate, okay? If you have the heart, go at it, bruh. Thank you for the advice, Woojong. Not a problem, man. Not a problem. I don't want to quit and they're hindering me. I just feel like if you're a part of a ministry and there's some people that are lagging behind, I think it's always best to do it outside of a church context. Don't do it in the church, right? Out of a church context, have lunch with them. Ice break it through lunch. Because Jesus taught us to always have a meal and to gather and to have fellowship with meal, right? And he got it right, man. When you have a meal, you let your guard down. And that's why when you go on a first date, why do you think you go get dinner? Why do you think that's a thing? Because when you have a meal with someone, it's a fellowship. It's an intimate moment, right? So have lunch with them outside of a church context. And when you're done and you order dessert, don't be that sly little cat that runs away, goes, sorry, I have to go to the bathroom, runs away, so they have to pay the bill. No, don't do that. What I'm trying to say is, when you get to the dessert, talk to them. Be like, you know what? I've been noticing that you've been lagging behind, or you're not enthusiastic about serving, or whatever the issue is, talk to them and approach them and tell them how you feel, okay? Now I'm talking biblically right now, in the book of Matthew. Approach them by yourself in private, okay? And if that doesn't work, tell a church leader. Tell that church leader and approach them in a group of 2 or 3. Approach them. And if they still don't change, and they're still lagging, or they're not being adequate, or they're still being a negative influence to the ministry, bruh, you'll be okay. Because at the end of the day, when you do church discipline, God's gonna be with you. He's gonna be with you. So no matter how hard it feels to say like, listen man, you gotta get off the team. When you excommunicate them off like the Sunday school ministry team, or sorry man, you can't be a worship leader anymore. I know it's hard to do and you feel like you're stabbing them, but you're not. Because Jesus told us in Matthew 18, 19, 20, gosh, I hope that's right. Matthew 18, 19, 20, wherever 2 or 3 or more of you gather in my name and pray, I'll be there with you. And that's in direct reference to church discipline, okay? So Jesus is telling us he's gonna be with us when you gotta do that hard thing, when you're gonna kick someone off the team, when you gotta relieve them of their duty, okay? But if you do the steps that Jesus outlined, which is approach them in private first, and then if it doesn't work, approach a church leader, and then go in a group of 2 or 3. And if that still fails, you got to do church discipline, man. Because Jesus told us clearly, don't ever let a wolf in sheep's skin ruin everything. Because he will kill everybody, eat everybody, ruin everybody. Like, one of my friends is a youth pastor, and he has a teenage boy who was sleeping around with every girl. So he had to approach him and kick him out of the church altogether unless he changed his behavior. And guess what? He didn't. So he had to kick him out. He had to kick out the wolf because all of the girls in the youth group were losing their virginity to this one boy. You see what I'm trying to get at, right? You can't just let the wolf keep preying on the sheep. You got to protect the flock. You got to protect the lamb. You can't just be like, okay, go do your own thing. I don't want to be judgmental. I hate that movement about Christians saying, I don't want to be judgmental, so do what you want to do. No, that's what leads to terrible decisions and behaviors. And that's what leads to like teenage pregnancies, drug use, suicide, all this bad stuff. No, if you truly love someone, you're going to intervene and be like, yo, man, I've seen you, your grades have been dropping, and I see that you've been hanging out with the wrong crowd, and you're doing drugs. Yo, man, what's up? I'm here for you. Let's go get some dinner. It's on me. I'll buy dinner. What's wrong? Is everything okay at home? What's weighing your heart heavy? Let me know. I want to be there for you. Talk to them, love them, intervene. But if you want to be this kind of new age Christian, I don't want to offend you. If you want to be gay, go be gay. I don't want to offend you. If you want to sleep around with everyone in the youth group, go sleep around. No, that's not what it means to be a Christian. Being a Christian means to have the boldness and courage of Christ in you to be like, yo, I know that you've been sleeping with everyone in the youth group. You need to cut that out, man. That's not cool. Or, yo, I know that you've been smoking weed and you've been skipping class. That's not right. Let's talk about this. What's going on? That's the right thing to do. If you love someone, you'll do what's hard. If you love someone and you let them do a careless lifestyle, you do not love them. I don't care what you say. Do you really think you truly love someone if you promote and allow them to continually skip school and do drugs and hang out with the wrong crowd? Is that truly how you love someone? No, you don't. If you truly love someone, just like a parent, you're gonna set your foot down and tell them, stop that. You shouldn't be doing that, and this is why you don't do that. You see what I'm trying to get at, right? I'm sorry, I'm just so fed up with that new age Christian movement where you turn a blind eye towards bad behavior or negative influence or the wolf that's killing the rest of the flock. That's not right. So, yeah. Have you watched Passion of the Christ? Yeah, I have. Actually, I know a lot of Christians don't like it, but I actually really like it. And here's the reason why I like it. Because I feel like a lot of us, we're book smart and we know about Christ in the Bible, but we don't really know and understand what Jesus really went through for our sake. And so for that reason, I feel like for this Generation Z, the ones that are born 1996 and above, I feel like for you guys, it's really beneficial to watch Passion of the Christ so you can visually see what Jesus really had to go through for your sake, for our sake, right? So I feel like when you just read about Jesus in the Bible and you don't really have a picture of what he went through, then you start playing with the idea and the temptation of the devil saying, you know what, this Bible might be fake. I feel like Jesus wasn't even real, but when you start to see the visualization of what he really went through, and you understand historical accuracy and the secular sources for Jesus' ministry, you realize he's real. But then to see that put into picture and you see what he really went through, the whipping, the torture, the spitting, the humiliation, the betrayal, and you see all that come into life, bruh, man, it makes you appreciate what kind of God Jesus really is. And I feel like a lot of people say, like, if he's God, how did he die? Or if he's God, why did he have to become a human? If he's God, why did he have to die for our sins? But honestly, like, all of that's so easily understood if you understand his motive. Jesus did all of that because of love. What else? What else? Would you really die for someone because you're jealous? Would you go and die for someone else because you're prideful, because you're angry? No, you would go and die for someone else because you truly love them and you want to liberate them and set them free, right? But sorry, I just went on a huge rant there. Yeah, I guess I mean, did that make sense, my analogy? Because I mean, I can put it in like bullet point form, like very simplified. It's a lot, theologically, we have to get a lot more deep. But why did God have to become a human? Because to fully engage with the world and to live in the flesh, he had to be born. He had to be born into the flesh as Jesus Christ, the Messiah, into the line of David, right? So that he could live a sinless, perfect life, so that he could take our place and die for the transgressions of the world's sins, right? How can he do that if he's God? So as a result, he had to take form into the human flesh and die as a human. Knowing that he has the full capacity as God, he had to relinquish his ability and power and say, I'm going to, this is the best analogy that I can put. He's a sheep that willingly went to the slaughterhouse. He wasn't, here's the thing. Jesus allowed them to capture him and to drag him and to crucify him. Just like this metaphor that I'm using. Imagine a little sheep. He willingly walks to the slaughterhouse to be killed. Even though he is God, he can stop all of that. But if he stops all of that, then who is going to take the place of everyone's sins? And so to do that, he had to take into the form of human flesh, to die as a human man. And because he lived as a human man, he lived a perfect life with no sin. Because the consequence of sin is hell, right? So because he lived a sinless life, he was able to be crucified and die for our sake. And so having faith in Jesus allows you to join him in the kingdom. Does that make sense? Anyways, you heard the gospel today. So if you don't know Jesus, I highly encourage you to pray to Jesus, man. Because when you learn about this, man, it's a game changer. But yeah. By the way, if you're one of those people that's struggling with your faith, one of the things I can highly encourage you to do is for you to re-educate yourself on what the gospel is. Because I feel like a lot of you guys, man, you go to church, you go through the motions, you read the Bible, but you don't even know what the gospel is. I can ask you right now, and statistically, probably like 3 out of 10 of you would be completely wrong. You'd be like, right? So get your foundation straight and truly know what the gospel is, right? About Jesus and his ministry. If you truly know about who Jesus is and his ministry, that'll help you. A lot of times I feel like your spiritual life is hurt, or you're having a struggle in your walk of faith. It's because you don't even know what your foundation is, right? You're like, is Jesus an angel? Did Jesus die? Like, you don't even know these answers, right? So get the facts and get your foundation straight, and yeah, it'll help you out. Not sure why I'm watching this. You're watching this because, make no mistake about it, God put you here in this live stream. You might be like, you're crazy, Woodrick, but hear me out. You might think you don't need Jesus, but you need Jesus more than ever. You know what I'm saying? You might be like, I'm just going to go about my own life and live my life being my own God. But here's the thing. You're at this live stream right now. You're not here by an accident. You're not here by coincidence. You're here because God put you into this live stream with me, baby girl. You hear what I'm trying to get at, right? It's not every day that you hear the gospel come from a YouTuber, right? Because obviously a lot of YouTubers are scared and they're nervous to offend people and be like, what if I lose viewers because they don't agree? I don't care about that. If you unfollow me because I preach the gospel clearly, honestly, I wish you a good luck, good life, and I hope that you learn about Jesus. But I'm not gonna sit here and be like, you're going to hell, I hate you. Nah, man, I have no negative feelings, right? I did my job. I make good content. I teach people about the word, and I talk about the gospel. I love it, man. I genuinely love this stuff, man. So, yeah. Here's the thing, man. If you feel like you're here by accident, you got to realize that when you don't have Jesus in your life, and you're an atheist, right? What's the purpose of your life? And I'm not trying to say that to belittle you, but really, what is the purpose of your life, right? When you're a Christian and you know Jesus, you have a purpose, right? You're trying to build the kingdom as in heaven, as here on earth. You're trying to do the kingdom work, which is by loving your neighbor, helping the homeless, volunteering at the local church, getting involved in ministry, loving his creation, right? You have a purpose and you have an identity as a child of God. You have everything figured out. Your purpose is there. But when you're an atheist, I want to ask you, like, why are you even here? Like, what's your thing? You see what I'm trying to get at, right? And so what I'm trying to say is, through Jesus, And as your role as his created, you're not a mistake, man. You're not an accident. You're not lost. You see what I'm trying to get at, right? There's something that I want to encourage you to look at is in the book of Luke, the parable of the lost son, or in some translations, it's the parable of the prodigal son. And you got to realize, man, a lot of us is like that little brother, man. We go out into the world, we play our own God, we do what we want, say we're free spirits, eat, drink, sleep with whoever we want, live a life with no consequence. But at the end of the day, we're empty, right? We're empty and we're void inside. And I'm not trying to be sexist, but a lot of times, man, young women, they give their bodies away to people to try to find love, right? They'll sleep with any guy to try to find love. But that breaks my heart, because if they found true love through Jesus, they would have self-respect to not sleep around with every other guy from Tinder every other day. And because they do that, after like the 100th guy, they feel void and empty inside, and they feel like they're getting into a mild depression because they never realize what true love is. And true love is unconditional from Jesus. And when you realize unconditional love, you won't settle for less, and you'll wait for the right guy that has that unconditional love for you. But when you're desperate and you're living for the world and you're living as your own God, and you live a life as a free spirit, no consequence, you'll do whatever you want. You'll do whatever you want, and then you'll still be miserable by the time you're 30, by the time you're 40. Because at the end of the day, you're just a piece of dust wandering through life. No purpose, no motive, no reason. And you're looking for love for all the wrong places, reasons, and you make money for the wrong reasons, you make friends for the weird reasons. You do everything on subjective reasons, whereas if you had faith and you knew God, everything would fit in with the bigger picture, man. So I say this because a lot of my young female friends, man, they sleep around to try to find true love and to try to find worth and value in this world. And I always try to educate them. You got to be picky. You got to hold out. Because if you keep giving yourself away like that, each time you give a little piece of your body away, every time you do that, right, you lose a little piece of that heart. I lost a pinky right there. You sleep with another guy trying to look for love, you lose that middle wing running finger. Another guy, middle finger. A pointer finger, another finger. And by the time you know it, by the time you hit 100 guys, you've just got a little thumb left. That heart is damaged. The Bible tells us clearly, bro, you got to protect your heart because everything flows from it. So if you're going around saying, I'm going to be my own God, play by my own rules, be my own free spirit, you're never going to truly enjoy life. You can lie to my face right now and be like, I'm happy. I'm truly happy and I'm atheist. You're not truly happy, bro. Because deep down inside, when I start to talk to you about objectively about your heart, objectively about your purpose, objectively about your motive, your reason, your life, bruh, that's not right. You know what I'm trying to get at? The reason why I'm saying that's not right is because it's usually gonna be a surface level or superficial, like, he's hot, I just want to sleep with him. Or, I just want to make money so I can just buy a BMW. But the Bible clearly teaches us, man, not to store up treasures on earth, but rather in heaven. So as a Christian, we realize, like, yeah, that BMW is nice, but it's not the purpose of my life and why I'm at this job as an accountant that I hate. But I'm only here as an accountant because I want to make money to buy a BMW. Bruh, a Christian, he would realize that being an accountant and working in that place, that workplace is his ministry, to love his coworkers, to teach them about the gospel, to show Christ's love through his actions. But then also, when he makes his money, to utilize that money and to give back to the poor, to give back to the church, to give back to the ministry, because he realizes that happiness is not bought through a BMW, and it's not bought through a materialistic item, but rather it's bought through the love of Christ, right? But I'm not trying to say that you can't have a BMW as a Christian, because sometimes it's nice to have a BMW, right? But you can't live your life thinking that happiness is found in makeup products or in K-pop idols or in a car. That's not true happiness. Everything will fade away that I just mentioned, right? But God's love, Christ, and the kingdom and the heaven, that'll always be eternal. That gift is forever. But you're telling me that you're living your life to buy a 3-bedroom house in Texas or to buy a BMW, and that's your life motive? That'll all fade away. You'll be forgotten, right? And that's a sad truth, right? In 80 years, we'll all be forgotten. What we do on earth is temporary. But we can make the most of it by pouring out Christ's love from our heart to others in our daily life, to those that are around us, and honoring him with our life, treating our bodies like his temple, if you're single, teaching people about the word. Okay, I don't even know why I went on this tangent. I'm sorry. I can't sleep because I can't stop listening to you. That's goals. I don't want to be the direct cause of insomnia, so maybe I should end this live stream so I can let you go to sleep. Yeah, I just feel like I preached the gospel today clearly. So, you know, I'm not trying to like pick on you or scare you, but I just, I would highly encourage you to genuinely ask yourself, quote unquote, do I know where I'm going after this life? Is my life worth it? I genuinely, like, if you don't know Jesus, man, like, I just want you to ask yourself those two questions. So I feel like when you're an atheist, you try to avoid the big questions, and you say stuff like, I don't need a God to be happy, I don't need God in my life, I don't need... But when you... Here's the thing. Almost 99.9% of the time, when I sit down with an atheist and I have a heartfelt conversation like this with them, and I talk to them about it, 99.9% of the time, they turn into a Christian. So I feel like a lot of the times what it is, that they avoid this stuff. They don't want to think about it, they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to involve themselves with it. And so as a result, they never get around to the point of asking themselves about the big question, like, you know what I mean? So, like, not picking on you, not trying to scare you, but genuinely ask yourself, not me, not your friend, not your Buddha, but yourself, right? Do I genuinely know where my body, my soul, my spirit, where it's gonna go after this life? Like, what's gonna happen to me? And number two, is the life that I'm living worth it? Does my life have value? And how do I know it does? Objectively, right? Ask yourself those questions, man. Because I've given you the answer, man. I've given you the answer already. The answer is Jesus. Anyways. You should live stream more often. Yeah, in the summer last year, I used to live stream like 2 or 3 times a day, every day. And it was pretty good, man. I loved it. But I got burnt out. The reason why I got burnt out is because, like, it came to the point where everyone was coming to me about, like, itty-bitty issues where literally you could just do. I feel like in the beginning it was really good. I was helping people with, like, you know, that were super depressed with a lot of anxiety and all that stuff. And then by the end of the summer, man, it was just getting petty. Like, should I wear this blue jacket or this red jacket? And, like, people treating me like they're, you know, genie in a magic lamp. And I just got burnt out, man. Like, there was someone that was fake crying. It's like, I need help, and it just turns out they just wanted to talk to me. It's just like, I hated that, man. That really rubbed me the wrong way, because I was genuinely ready to help them, put my heart on the line, and it was just like a stalkerish, manipulative way to get my attention, and I hated that, man. And so I got burnt out, man. But for like the 3 months that I did it, I loved it. I really loved it, because I was helping people out with, like, life career choices, what college to go to, boy troubles, depression, anxiety. But then by the end of it, man, it was getting so petty. Like, Ujong, should I wear this red jacket or this blue jacket? Should I drink this beer or not? This is like, bro, like, come on, man. That's what I'm trying to say. There's always that 1 or 2 people that ruin a good thing and ruin it for everyone, right? But yeah, I got burnt out, so I stopped doing it. I definitely just heard a Texas pastor accent. I don't know if I have a Texas pastor accent. I mean, I do have a Southern accent. I wouldn't say I'm a Texas, I don't know. Can you be racist to white people? Racism is not, by definition, it's not tied to one race. There's a misinformation out there that people think that racism is only to one minority of one skin color. Racism is done across the entire world, even in the same ethnicity. If you go to Africa, there are other Africans capturing fellow black people and selling them off as slavery and killing them. Discrimination within the own black race. If you go to Asia, there's obviously racism going on, right? I feel like in America, we feel like racism is only towards one race, and it's not. Racism can apply to any race, any ethnicity, any group, okay? Slavery is still around, it is. If you look at Africa and the Middle East, there's a huge influx of slavery, and it's sad to say, but this is the facts. If you want to fact check me, do it right now. You can Google it. A lot of the slaves are Christians. So a lot of these merchants, I'm not going to name the group, but a lot of these merchants, mercenaries, and religious groups, they capture Christians, kill the men, rape the women, and turn the young girls into slaves and stuff. It's really sad stuff, man. If you look at Africa and Middle East, the persecution on Christianity is not a joke. Like, people think like Christians have it so good, and they do in the Western world, right? In America, Canada. But if you look at our brothers and sisters in Iraq, in Morocco, in Syria, bruh, they're getting beheaded and killed and burned alive for their faith, man, and turned into slaves. So there is slavery, and it's still prevalent. But, and, you know, I don't want to get into it, but it's sad, man, it's sad. What was the other part of your question? Can you be racist to white people? Yes, you can be racist to any group. Does white privilege exist? No, it does not exist. Why are minorities treated like this? I don't know what you mean by that, but I feel like a lot of minorities, it depends on their community. If you grow up in a community where education is not valued and work ethic is not installed, and drug use and gang participation is all there is, most likely, statistically, you're going to join a gang, do drugs, or do whatever it is statistically, right? So I feel like when it comes to minorities, especially it really depends on the community, and especially on the smaller level, the family unit. Like, if you have a father figure in the head of the household that teaches their children the values of morality, about Jesus, about ethics, about mannerisms, about why education is important, those children, look at Proverbs, right? You teach a child to go in the right way, and more often than not, they're not going to steer from it when they grow up, right? But I just feel like we failed at the smallest level, which is the family unit, okay? People discriminate over anything. Yes, that is true. Even Koreans discriminate against other Koreans, right? There's some South Koreans that hate North Koreans. Racism, discrimination, segregation is everywhere. It's prevalent. Am I saying that it's okay? Absolutely not, right? The Bible teaches us that we should love everyone, regardless if they're a Jew, black, or white. It doesn't matter, right? You should love them. But I just feel like a lot of people, man, their hearts, they don't know love, and they don't know Jesus. And as a result, they're willing to capture someone, rape them and kill them and turn them into slaves. They don't know Jesus. Because they don't know Jesus, they're willing to, like, I told you this story. One time I was in the high school locker room, right? And these 3 white kids, they ganged up on me, were calling me chink, and they were trying to fight me. And, you know, it teaches me that racism is still real and really alive, but it's not just the white kids, right? When I used to play football, let me tell you about this story right here. When I used to play football, right, I was the only Asian kid on the team, but I was really good. And I'm not trying to brag, but it comes into context. I was really good. And so by the time I got to the upper elite level in the youth football organization league, almost all the teams we played against were all black. Well, I don't know what it is, but they're all black. And I remember we went to play this one team, and I'll never forget it, right? I was at 7-Eleven getting a donut before the game, and a group of these black kids that were on the other team, and I knew they were on the other team because they're wearing their jerseys with their football shoulder pads on, and I had mine on. And they kept saying to me, like, they approached me in a gang, in a group, and they're like, you shouldn't be playing the sport. You chinks need to be just doing math. You can't play, you suck. And, you know, go back to China, Ching Chong. They're saying that, these black kids. But here's the redemption moment. When we were playing football, in the first quarter, the first 3 minutes of the game, it was a screen pass. I was a running back. It was a screen pass. I caught the ball. I turned my body. I went upfield and I started running. No lie. Those same black kids were playing defense and they were coming to tackle me. I jumped over them and I stiff-armed the other one and I scored a touchdown on that black team. And they all looked at me and they're just like, holy crap, this Asian kid is fast. And so after the game, we did the, you know, the handshake stuff, and they all apologized. They're like, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry. Because they literally thought I was an Asian kid who's nerdy, that's not athletic, and they thought I was just, you know, taking up space, you know, roster space, and they hated that. But once they realized that I could ball, they apologized. So I faced racism from black kids, but also from white kids, but also from Latino kids. So I know that racism is prevalent, but I'm not going to be fixated on it because I would rather preach about the gospel, because the gospel can fix racism. Because what does it do? The Jesus, our lovable God, he changes the heart and it transforms an individual to understand love and not be a racist. But if I stay fixated on racism, how can I truly fix the other issues that gospel can fix, such as reconciling divorce applicants, helping someone overcome depression, helping kids that are racist, because no one's born out of the womb being a racist, right? Every child is open to loving someone else. They learn those values from someone else, okay? So what I'm trying to get at is the gospel is what I would rather stay fixated on, because that can fix everything, man. Diplomatic issues, relationship issues, racism, you name it. Like, I'll never forget it, guys. When I was in kindergarten, my best friends were Corey and Scott. Now, Corey was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, freckles on his nose, super, obviously he's a white kid. And Scott was a brown-haired, green-eyed white kid, my best friends, right? Every time they saw me, they would run up to me, tackle me, and hug me, and like say, "You're my best friend, I love you, friends forever." And then when they invited me for their birthday party in December, their mom and dad told them that they couldn't invite me because I'm Asian. And so the only kids who went to those birthday parties were white kids only, man. So I faced and experienced racism when I was 5 years old, man. They didn't understand why their parents said no to me because I was Asian. But I'll never forget their names, Scott and Corey. They were my best friends, but after that moment, I was so hurt, man. And I would always go up to them and be like, "Hi, Scott, hi, Corey," and they'd go the other way. And so one day I was crying and I asked, like, "Why won't you play with me anymore?" Think about little Woo-jung. Like little Woo-jung, okay? 5 years old. And Corey was like, "My mom said I'm not allowed to play with your type." And I was just like, bruh, this is 1995. Like, that's so sad, man. You see what I'm trying to get at, right? He never learned racism, but rather, no, he wasn't born out of the womb with racism, but rather he learned it from his mom and dad that taught them to not play with Asians. That's so messed up. And so, as an adult, I don't think racism is the biggest problem. I think not knowing the gospel is the biggest problem. And that's why I'd rather teach people about Jesus, because I know that Jesus can fix everything. So yeah. Anyways, that's enough for today. I love you guys, and talk to you guys in the next one.